when you don't have a union and it's an ununionized setting, you have individual contracts of employment which guide the employment relationship between the individual employee and then the corporation as the employer. And typically, these types of contracts are interpreted in similar ways to other types of contracts, but there is some difference in how we interpret these type of contracts, specifically looking at policy considerations for the imbalance of power between employers and employees. Of course, many employers create a single precedent contract, and you might use that for all of your employees. You might use that for particular groups of employees. So this is usually typically a good approach. We see this pretty commonly with our clients. It's cost efficient, you can create consistency, but this structure only works when you're regularly reviewing that form contract, going back and making sure that it conforms to all of the general interpretation practices, as well as evolving case law.
So some of the key takeaways from this case is employees possibly have a very short window, potentially only 10 business days, to decline a change to their compensation and claim constructive dismissal. This is going to be a factual analysis, and arguably it would be a longer period of time if it was a change to job responsibilities, as the employee could claim that they needed some more time to work in the new position and decide whether or not they're going to take the position that they're claiming constructive dismissal. But the key point is it's going to be a factual analysis and depend on the circumstances.
So typically when we've looked at that sort of external events that might impact a person's notice period, there hasn't been, of course, a global pandemic to consider and how might that impact it, but it does kind of open the door to other factors that may be relevant that could impact particular individuals. So it's really important not just to keep in mind for COVID, but generally as a whole to see if there's any external impacting factors that might be relevant for determining the proper notice period. It is also, of course, really important for if you have any current or ongoing lawsuits that relate to termination of an employee during COVID, to look at how these new cases might impact the overall assessment and, of course, potential liability consequences for COVID and its impact on notice periods, which generally we're seeing will probably lengthen them.